And we're also going to be talking to the stars of a new film which aims to get younger people more interested in Shakespeare by introducing lots of gore, apparently.
Fair is foul, foul is fair. What hovers through the... Good morning. First, our main news this morning. Bank customers could be in line for a share of a multi-million-pound payout over the mis-selling of payment protection insurance. Letters will be sent out telling customers that they may have been mis-sold PPI for loans and could apply for compensation.
Yes, today the Financial Services Authority will tell banks what the letters they're sending out should say, in a move that's then likely to trigger billions of pounds worth of additional claims.
Going to be speaking to the personal finance specialist Sarah Pennells about that in a few minutes' time here on Breakfast.
Then, thank you. Thanks for that, Penny.
Blood is being carried for the first time on civilian air ambulances in Britain. From today, London... A retired British businessman accused of attempting to export missile parts to Iran has been refused bail by a court in the United States. In America, it's Super Tuesday, the date when the largest number of states vote in the presidential primaries. It could be the decisive day in the battle between Mitt Romney and Rick Santorum for the Republican nomination. Now, ways to improve the reliability of sat-navs are going to be discussed later today when dozens of organisations meet for the government's first summit on the subject.
Yeah, there are concerns that I'd like to take part in the event as well. A lot of you texted in this morning, like Eddie in Chester, who said he was driving at 1 o'clock in the morning, heading to North Wales, following his sat-nav, concentrating hard, ended up going down a lifeboat slipway and ended up with a whole car submerged in the sea. He says he's now ditched his sat-nav. Maybe it was in the car
underwater. Well, it probably
underwater.
wasn't working after that.
And he's going back to a map. Lots of you saying the same kind of things.
Michelle says, we would like you to know our sat-nav took us to Heathrow Airport, to the car park at Heathrow Airport. We were towing our caravan at the time. Needless to say, we got some very odd looks. If you've got a caravan, you're probably not about to get on a flight.
There's excess baggage for you, just imagine. We're going to be speaking a bit to the motoring journalist Dave Richards about sat-navs. He's managed to find his way to us, so we will talk to him shortly.
Yeah. Now, though, let's go back to our main story this morning. Banks are being told they must write to customers who may have been mis-sold payment protection insurance.
Yes, the Financial Services Authority wants more people to claim compensation. It's telling the banks what they've got to say in those letters. We're joined now by the...
Does getting a letter guarantee the fact that you are going to be entitled to compensation?
Though, isn't it? I mean, you know, it's just a guess at the end of the day.
Well, there are some sort
But, I mean, as a reporter out on the road, it can take a lot of the stress out of it. I mean, it's sort of, you know, it gets you there, you haven't got a map on your lap, it can be...
That's the thing, you're not looking down at a map all the time or pulling over and trying to work out where you're going.
Hello there, this is Breakfast with Susanna Reid and John Kay.
Good morning. Our main news this morning. Millions of letters are about to be sent out by banks telling customers that they may have been mis-sold payment protection insurance for loans and could apply for compensation.
Yesterday...
Prince Harry is in Jamaica on the next stop of his Caribbean tour in honour of the Queen's 60 years on the throne.
He arrived by...
That brings you right up to date at 8:32. Here's what's coming up on Breakfast this morning. Blur Basic.
I guarantee that unless you work in publishing or something, some of them you will never have heard of before or seen.
Although that interrobang, which is a question mark and an exclamation mark in the same figure, we kind of do use, don't we? Someone was pointing out we use question mark, exclamation mark, question mark. You could just put them all back together and bring it back. You need to put
so wise.
No, it was
really work for a lot of people.
Thank you so much for coming in and sharing that with us this morning.
Welcome.
Good to see you looking well, and Leo.
Now, it's been 50 years since Dame Daphne Sheldrake first began rescuing orphaned baby elephants in Kenya.
Yes, since then
she's written a book about her work. We're going to talk to her about it in just a moment. First, let's take a look at Daphne back in 1999 when she featured on the Natural World programme.
Thank you for coming in, and that was, what, 12, 13 years ago, and you're still doing that even more so. You're even busier with those little orphaned elephants.
A country that's got mass poverty, no welfare for the unemployed.
You've got somebody sitting next to you who is a local African person living... What do you say to them when they argue that these creatures are a natural resource? Well, you came to be doing this with the elephants in the first place. That's a different kind of love story.
Yes, it is. I've had...
As your children, as your charges.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
You know...
Funny, though, do they?
No, in that way they're better than our children.
Thank you very much indeed. Fascinating story. A lovely tale in bookshops now.
Lovely to see you. Thank you so much. Now, how good are you at punctuation? You may recognise a colon or an apostrophe, but what about this? Either signs used much these days, but others becoming more common.
Yes, with the arrival of computers and phones and texting, that kind of thing, dramatically changing the way that we use punctuation, as John Maguire has been finding out. That's punctuation. Let's turn our attention to other parts of the English language maybe being neglected.
Shakespeare. If I said to you, is this a dagger, which I see before me?
I'd be worried.
It's a very good point. That would be worrying. Would you know which Shakespeare play from which I quoth?
It is, of course, Macbeth. Oh, we're not allowed to say it.
No,
oh, it's horribly bad luck.
It's a Scottish play. It's a Scottish play.
The makers of a new film, The Tragedy of the Scottish Play, believe that many young people won't recognise the quote, and they want to change all that.
Yes, the film stars Hannah Taylor-Gordon and
Lady Macbeth in this, which must be such a brilliant part to play.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I mean, the point of it is, I mean, you're not setting it in modern day, are you? In fact, you're going...
A hunk of a guy.
And where is it all filmed? Because you were saying, Oliver, that it was clearly out in woods somewhere. It looks freezing cold, tricky conditions. Well, with the film, it is The Tragedy of Macbeth, and it is out on DVD from Monday.
Alex James, the bassist from Blur turned cheesemaker extraordinaire, is going to be with us here in a minute.
Going to be speaking to him after a quick last look at what's happening where you are.
See you in a sec. Welcome back. Now, as the bassist for the band Blur, Alex James had an exciting pop star life and the adoration of millions, but when the band split in 2003, he gave it all up, moved to the countryside and became a cheesemaker.
Who wouldn't? May seem like a strange choice, but after learning the ropes, Alex now has a full range of cheese stuff. He describes the transition from Britpop poster boy to cheesemaker in his new book, All Cheese is Great and Small, and we're going to remind ourselves now, before we...
Does that feel like a different life now, a different year?
Yeah, oh, it warms my heart, though, little puppies. Look at us.
Look at the hair, though. Damon's hair.
Still got the same hair I have.
Yeah, you have. You haven't changed that much, actually, have you? And we're talking to you. So is there going to be a new album?
Because I always assumed that when you bought your house in the country and you decided to devote yourself to farming, that you had farming in your blood and that this was something that you were going back to. But in 5 children and an awful lot of cheese later, you seem...
Like a particularly rich, overripe Stilton, don't they? Still, are you making Stilton? New book, All Cheese is Great and Small, A Life Less Blurry, is out now.
We'll see you tomorrow. That's it from us today. Have a very good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.